Welcome back to the Theme Park Universe podcast, episode dose 2. It's 2. And we have co-host Vash Guy, and we have a pirate, not Johnny Depp. But we have a different pirate on today, Captain John Dee.
Gotta do it.
That's
Thank you,
right.
thank you,
That's
thank you.
right. Vash Guy, where could they find you? Orange
the
Girl
best
55's channel or where?
well, not anymore. But hey, the best place to find me is going to be right here at Theme Park Universe, talking about all kinds of stuff. That's talking about theme parks from across the nation. I think the first episode was Six Flags, right? So
Yeah,
it's
buddy.
going to be a lot of fun on here. And if you want to see me on a more maybe regular interval, but in shorter smaller bites, you can go ahead and do that at That Park Place YouTube channel. We also have Twitter and some other things. Whatever. It's for all the news. It should be fun. Definitely subscribe to that, but not before you get done watching this video and subscribe to this channel. How about that?
That's right. And the captain, he has no face. He's like the headless horseman with the
I
headless.
am just an
Where
avatar.
can they
but
find you?
You can find me on X, formerly Twitter.
At-
at
and
Captain
guys,
John Dee
no, he
73.
is not. He's not a porn star. This is just a regular.
Yeah,
That you know of.
Uh-oh.
Yes, that we know. If you know, he could have a secret OnlyFans.
Well, hey, if you really want to get the visual imagery going, you see that beard as part of his avatar. Now, I have had the pleasure of seeing Captain John Dee in person. That beard and that mane right there, it's no avatar, guys. It's a real thing here. So
So,
just
So
get
is
that
it-
visual
is it-
imagery in your head.
bigger or smaller or thicker or less thick than Culture Casinos?
Oh, no one can match that guy. That guy's got a mane. I love it.
He's like a Wookiee.
Can you believe that?
Gandalf.
Man. And now he's getting him back in shape again. That guy's just a beast, man. He's crazy. But I think this time around, Wizard, we're gonna be talking about going from
The
Six Flags
Big
to now
Mouse
to the Mouse House. Disney. They just had their Destination D23
down the
event,
road.
announcing all kinds of stuff. Maybe, possibly, we'll see. I think we'll go over that a little bit, and the state of the Mouse House when it comes to their parks, maybe internationally, maybe domestically. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It is, and yeah, we're gonna break down each announcement thing, one by one, and add Cotino at the end. That was like a next announcement that they had just today. A breaking news announcement. It's just a little funny, but yeah, thank you to WDW Magic for putting it all in one place for us, or WD whatever that is. Put it in one place.
They love the shout out, I'm sure. Whatever that is. This does come to us via WDW Magic. Well, I guess
That's the one.
the first thing they have listed here is, this is why I say announcement, and if people are listening at home, I'm doing the two bunny fingers
little
kind of
air
thing,
quote.
right? Air quotes. What do you think about this, guys? I mean, they've done this now 2 times in a row. First at the 23 Expo back last year, and now it's like, ooh, the possibilities, not what if, the possibilities. And
And yeah,
I think that didn't go necessarily as it wasn't received as warmly maybe as the first time around. Do you think?
yeah. This idea is Tropical America's Land. Now that part seems pretty confirmed-ish. No. The more ideas come with the IP of Indiana Jones, full circle on that one. And then Encanto with, according to Braden, a Coco attraction and the Coco Carousel or something in that little circle. If you're on Spotify, there's a little flat ride looking thing, and that's where Coco is supposed to go. Nah, I don't know. No start date, nothing more than that, and that's it. So, and Kanto looks like it could be an attraction, it could be a meet and greet, could be a Moana type thing. Who knows? Indiana Jones would be Indiana Jones from Disneyland, and
We would think.
yeah, he would, yeah,
We would
likely.
think.
And then the rest would be the rethemed restaurant, and the more you think about it, the more it could happen because it's pretty cheap. You retheme the ride, and you just do that. Then you just add in a Kanto attraction or meet and greet in the house, then a little carousel, and then boom, you're done. So,
I tried to find somebody had kind of taken the existing plan or the existing like what exists in this spot, I should say, not only in USA with Chester and Hester's and all that, kind of overlaid it on this and gave us a rough kind of outline of where everything would go. In the spaces that exist currently. Obviously, they would reutilize the dinosaur attraction, and because it follows roughly the same path as the Indiana Jones attraction over at Disneyland, they would retheme that to that, but with a kind of a Latin America kind of what do you want to say? What is it? Ancient.
Like a Mayan
kind of
type of,
like a Mayan temple,
Right.
sort of similar to what actually exists over at Tokyo Disneyland. And then they would add a new attraction within Kanto. Well, Wizard was right to point out when we were talking about this before. Don't get too ambitious. Right. We don't know if that's an attraction just yet. And I think that's correct. But Captain, what do you think about all this? I mean, it's something. That's
It's
definitely
something.
what it is.
I'm an Animal Kingdom purist, so I love what Joe Rody had said a few years back regarding the intention of Animal Kingdom, but the possibility of getting a dinosaur retheme to Indiana Jones is intriguing to me because I've never been to Disneyland, so having that at Disney World would be awesome, but at the same time it goes against the theming of the park in my opinion. I'm not falling in line with the concept of Central America, Southern America theming to this whole area. I mean, the original intention of the land was about dinosaurs, and I think that's where it should stay. In my opinion, it should just be upgraded. But it could be great. Who knows? Not so sure right now. We still don't know what it's going to be. This is all blue sky at this point. I think they're A/B testing. I think, at this point, still.
I think this is definitely the less ambitious of the two. That for our viewers at home who might not know, the original concept for this specific portion of Animal Kingdom was first what-ifed at the D23 Expo, and that was supposed to be a combination of Moana and Zootopia. And I remember speculating at the time that maybe Zootopia would take the place of Dinosaur, and maybe they can kind of retheme that ride to that. Here, I think this is a much more kind of naturalistic take on the whole thing. It's a little bit less whimsy, a little bit less fantasy, obviously including IP, but definitely in a different way. And setting it, I think, in South America, I think a distinct part of Animal Kingdom that isn't necessarily represented today, I think does make a lot of sense. A lot of people said this was kind of an odd fit, but I was like, well, you have all the continents, and so you just have South America here. But it's a reduction of what was necessarily blue sky, I guess, if you want to call it, from before. And this is kind of the reason why, and Wizard, I want to get your take on this. This is kind of the reason why Universal doesn't really do this. And previously, Disney didn't really do this either. The big reason being is when you do show off blue sky concepts, those are inevitably going to change, and people's perspectives and people's kind of reactions to this stuff does change and influence their opinion on the final product, because people think, oh, well, we could have gotten this, when that's not necessarily true. Wizard, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I agree. Well, first, I have to say, yes, I do like the tropical America biome type of idea, because, yeah, like you said, they have the Africa and Asia, so the South America or the Americas. I think it would be pretty cool there. Um, in Kanto, I don't, unless it's fully on Antonio, which they don't do the whole family, but I think on Kanto would fit better behind and Coco behind the Thunder Mountain. Yeah, behind Thunder Mountain. And I think Animal Kingdom and Disney World in general. I'm trying to count. Disneyland Resort has two actual like get wet water rides, right? Tiana's and the Grizzly. I'm trying to think at Disney World, do they also just have two? I'm trying to think. Hollywood Studios have none.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom is Splash Mountain. And this has so that like come on, there's four parks and then we have the same amount of water rides, actual water rides at here. And it's much hotter and humid. I think Animal Kingdom needs a water ride. And I feel like this tropical America's theme could really cater to a good water ride that gets you wet. I like Pirates of the Caribbean, but like a soaker, a water ride soaker.
Well, we do have Cali River Rapids.
Yeah,
which
Cali
is,
River Rapids. That's
yeah.
the one.
Just
Yeah,
the
one.
one.
I'm saying that and Splash Mountain are Tiana's. We have the same thing on both coasts. Like I feel like even, and I've heard Animal Kingdom's a little hotter because the trees and stuff. I feel like they can benefit from two. I mean,
Sure.
maybe one that gets you like a log, like what they had with Moana, something that will really is different than Cali River Rapids and gets you wet. But the concept art thing, yeah, Disney has got to stop with that, or they got to at least wait till they get like a close to a final one, so they can give a date or something. So to date, Universal has shown one concept of Epic Universe, and the one that is the one before they started construction on it, and then it stayed almost true to form. It took out a couple of things here and there, but most of it's intact. Because that was the final form almost. I feel like Disney should stick to the final, and they used to. Like Galaxy's Edge was, to the most part, final form thing. But they certainly should just throw out these little ideas. Like this is some. If you're not sure you're gonna build this, this is something you'd be at the board meeting or the Imagineer meeting. Like, what is this? What do you guys think about this? But then they just show it off to everybody. Then everyone gets disappointed. Maybe when they all get excited because they have short-term memories, and they get disappointed when they're presented with something else. And Captain John Dee, when you said you're intrigued by Indiana Jones over there because you never ridden at Disneyland, the first thought I had was, shoot, you might, by the time it actually opens, if it opens, you probably would have come to Disneyland and ridden it already.
Yeah.
That's true.
In 2035.
I am rapidly
Yeah.
looking up plane tickets for you, Captain John Dee. I gotta get you out of here. That's insane. But John, what do you think about all this?
In terms of the Moana ride? The
Yeah,
concept?
in terms of the
Or
Moana
the
ride,
early
but also concept
yeah.
art, and how it changes, how it evolves, how it kind of changes people's perspective.
Yeah, I think in terms of concept art, I really don't buy much. I don't put too much into it until we get a little more headway into some of these ideas. But
Right.
I like both of you. I really like the first concept art. I think Moana would have fit there in terms of a water ride. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think this will change again. Based on feedback.
Oh,
I think by the time we get the next D23, it'll be something completely different or some kind of a offshoot of this. I think they're going for obviously it's going to be cost based. So this seems to be a less of a cost than the previous iteration of the design, in my
Right.
opinion.
You say based on feedback. Now, a lot of people might take that as feedback from the fans or feedback from the public and so forth, but I think feedback from the executives, right, who had to allocate these things.
Absolutely.
And honestly, that's kind of what's happened already. Like you said, I mean, the Moana thing looked pretty ambitious, adding a water ride to Wizard's Point, which, having spent now a summer in Florida recently with 100-degree weather, very much appreciated. Yes, I do agree. But now we're taking that off the table, and maybe it'll be a ride. Maybe it'll be a walkthrough attraction right next to the pre-existing dinosaur, and it just these things just kind of decline by degrees here, and who knows what the final iteration of this will be. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the idea is they want to they want this perception that WDI is working on something substantial, right? That we're,
Yes.
even if we're actually not doing that. So I think that's what's going on there.
And to the water ride again, because it really is important. I mean, look, Universal Studios Florida has none, right? But just a short walk or train ride away, you have Islands of Adventure, and they have 3 pretty soaking water rides right next to each other.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So they can do that. So I definitely think Animal Kingdom, as big of a park as it is, can definitely support at least one more water ride.
And there's room for growth at Animal Kingdom. It's got the
Yeah.
most room for growth out of these parks. I agree 100%.
And Zootopia isn't coming to Dinosaur, but it is coming to the Tree of Life. Look at that. Braden called that one too. Oh, he just said it's not coming to the other spot. But It's Tough to Be a Bug will be no more in the domestic or ever. Well, I don't know if there's one across the country. I mean, the
No,
world.
I think this is it.
Yeah.
This is the last one. It's Tough to Be a Bug will be gone. Replaced by Marvel on the west and replaced by more animals. I love Zootopia, though, on the east. What do you think about the Zootopia show? Is it a good compromise to put in the Tree of Life rather than the land? What do you prefer, Captain?
I'm a big fan of the original Bugs Life attraction. It's fun. It fits in with the theme. But at the same time, this one, I think it'll work, to be honest with you, depending on the show itself and in the actual message of the show or how it's written. It might work. It just might. And I've been on the Bugs Life attraction many times, and I can say that it's fun as long as the new attraction is fun and it fits in with some kind of theming towards the park. I'm not opposed to it. Really not.
Yeah, I think Zootopia at Animal Kingdom gets a lot of flack because of that famous quote by Joe Rohde,
Yeah.
who says, "Well, it's animals in pants, right? It's Animal Kingdom is about animal issues, whereas Zootopia is our human issues with the analogs of animals, right? So it doesn't quite fit in there." And I love that kind of thinking, but the practicality of it, right? I mean, it's
Exactly.
when people think Animal Kingdom, they expect, a story of animals as presented by Disney, and well, right now that's one of the most popular IPs. People expect that going in. They just do. I wish there were more depth sometimes to the casual visitor, but there just isn't. It can be very shallow, and I think this. I think it absolutely has to be represented somewhere in Animal Kingdom. To do it at the It's Tough to Be a Bug Theater or the Tree of Life Theater, I think I agree with you, Captain John Dee. I think it's a good fit. When I went recently, it was startling to see just the state of that theater.
It's getting old.
It's getting a little rough around the edges. Some of the animatronic characters and so forth, they've seen better days, and so I kind of got the they're deferring maintenance on this for a reason. Here you go.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, folks, this one does have an opening date, 2024, unlike the other.
Gotcha.
And to tell you the truth, looking at the Shanghai, world, the land that they're building for Zootopia, I think this iteration of Zootopia fits much better into the park than any type of land that would be built, just from an aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah, and you can see kind of some of those images coming out of Shanghai. I mean, it's beautiful architecture. It's amazing. They are amazing pieces. But I think I agree with you, Captain John Dee. There is a very distinct quality of Animal Kingdom that is, like, you can't quite put your finger on it, but like you know it. It's a very kind of sensitive thing too. You don't want to necessarily put a bunch of IPs and tear that away. It has to be cohesive. So I do agree with you.
And at a D23, one of those things we heard about new destinations for Star Tours, and Well, we found out. Although I could have sworn the Mandalorian was coming, if it's not already there. Uh, Ahsoka is coming to Star Tours also in spring 2024, which bad news for Disneyland's Tomorrowland, but great news for all the other Star Tours and Disneyland Star Tours. Uh, I think it's pretty cool. Ahsoka show is pretty cool. Has some cool, definitely has some cool environments, especially the last episode. So I think it'll be a cool addition.
Yeah,
Everyone should like it.
you're talking about a simulator attraction, right? And as you add these films, it increases rewritability. I have no complaints here. I think they should be starting to integrate kind of Filoni-verse stuff in there. And, well, whether it's Mandalorian or Ahsoka, new stuff's great. The one thing, though, is like, come on, when are we going to get a new Smuggler's Run? Come on.
Yeah,
That's kind of my opinion on it.
yeah.
Yeah, as much as I hate the show, I'm pretty excited for this because I think variety is great on Star Tours. Over the
it's
years,
good.
it's fun.
Yeah.
When you go in and you don't know what you're getting. Even the sequel trilogy seems to work for some reason. I like it. I think variety on Star Tours is a plus. So Mandalorian, Ahsoka, bring it on.
And sponsorships are fantastic, guys. I know some people don't like them, but this is what happens when you have a sponsorship. Test Track 3.0. Look at this. I think it actually looks pretty good for people that can't see it. The concept art shows what an electric-looking car was surrounded by nice trees. Looks like you're going a nice drive to the mountains, but looks pretty cool to me. I haven't been on any Test Track, but I know this one looks like the current version 2.0 looks like Tron, and they already have a Tron, right? So we get to deviate away from that and go back to the world of motion, which is the original incarnation. So I think it looks good. Good job, Chevy, for pony up the money.
I don't necessarily disagree. I just find it ironic that we're getting the third iteration of this pavilion attraction here, while we have Figment across the way doing 5-hour lines just on meat grease. It's like, well, could we spend a little bit there too?
Yeah.
Okay,
And definitely slap in the face of Spaceship Earth, which got some nice new concept art to only be canceled.
You see,
right afterwards.
Maybe you can back me up
looking at that track saying, "Damn."
Maybe you can back me up here. I'm actually kind of glad that wasn't touched because I'm
100% in agreement with you. 100% in agreement.
Yeah,
leave it the way it is. It's perfect.
Because here's the thing, Wizard. Yes, some of that concept artwork did look kind of interesting, but with the budgets and stuff and the quality of stuff that they're delivering now, it's like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
And Spaceship Earth, it gets people in there, right? So
it's a nice people eater.
A little history on this guy. It's interesting. So Test Track premiered in 1999, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Then it was redone in 2012, and now it's going to be redone again in, I don't know when this is going to be opening up, 2024, probably, 2025. If you follow it, it's almost on a 10-year interval, and that's for a reason, because when the pavilions originally made their debut, when Epcot opened, those sponsorships were on 10-year deals. They were on 10-year cycles, and that's why we just mentioned the Imagination Pavilion. That's why that was substantially changed, because 10 years later, you have new executives. They have their own philosophy. They have their own way of doing things, and so they want changes if they are going to be investing into these things. For Test Track specifically, here I'm thinking they are going to go with a kind of a more conservationist, kind of green energy type of feel here, which is like hybrid technology, electric technology, which is really big in the automotive industry right now.
What I like is it's inspired by World of Motion, which will be great. But I agree with you; it's probably going to be
inspired
by stuff. Yep, exactly.
Inspired by. Oh boy, we got a.
Epcot has a new show.
Oh no!
Boy. And at first, I thought this was Harmonious because it looks like it, but
the Symphony of Us.
the Symphony of Us. And again, Disney really likes those long names, the taglines. It's funny. Emphasis on us. No drones, very sad. But there'll be fireworks, mist, and all the stuff you expect from a Disney show, besides drones. And hey, hopefully it's good. Well, the barges will be able to be moved backstage. So that's a good stuff for their private events because well, they're losing money there, right?
Dinner packages. Yeah.
So that sounds good. No really much details on it. But
I think
new show. What do you think?
I think along with this, the entrance is supposed to open up too.
Yeah,
Kevin.
December 5th. Yeah, all those walls should be gone.
You got to have definitely some opinions about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's more than enough time for these walls to come down. It's been almost 5 years now, a little over 5 years, something like that when it first started. So yeah, very exciting, very exciting. How weird is that we're excited about walls coming down, but we are where we are.
As a reference, Super Nintendo World started construction and opened in that time.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh man. I think a bunch of Universal projects have started and have opened in that time. But
Plenty of water.
Another heavily delayed attraction.
And boy, oh boy, this one. Okay, now you guys can give your thought. But opening October 16th, although it's ready right now. I think it's opening October 16th because that's after the fiscal year starts. October 1st.
Mhm.
It looks done. So I feel like it's opening in a month from now because of the fiscal year thing. Because they're already doing cast previews. It looks cool. I see a lot of jokes online. It's a great cue for an attraction, but it is the attraction. It's like the episode of Fairly Odd Parents when they say they go to Escalator Land and they go, and Timmy asks, where's the ride? And goes, this is the ride.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because when I had met up with Dre at Walt Disney World, one of his comments was, I asked him, "What do you think, Disneyland versus Disney World? What do you think so far?" And he said, "Well, here it's all about the queue." So that falls right in line with this one. Moana, bringing water. It's all about the queue.
Again, this would be for as long as it took to build. This would have been like a great queue for that Moana log flume and animal.
There you go.
Right.
But looks cool.
I think
better. What I don't want to happen after 5 years is it to like one of the water things to like break, like in Toontown, where the water things just break. That'd be terrible.
Gosh.
Like in November, if one of the interactors just breaks. I'm like 5 years and it breaks, so that better not happen. Come on, Disney.
Yeah, so there have been that's the thing, and that's we'll get into a little bit of that a little bit later on in this video, but I'm hoping maintenance will be good. I think it will be, but if taking a step back here and looking at why this exists and why this exist here, I think this is a holdover from Project Gemini. There was obviously the feedback that Imagineers received was, we need more shade. We need more, this place is hot. And so it's like, okay, we got to get in trees. And obviously some of those early Imagineers were very much inspired by like the water at the water features and play area by the Imagination Pavilion. It's like, imagine a large scale version of that. We can kind of take them through this very naturalistic setting that will be set itself very much apart from the early days of Epcot. And then it's like, well, it's got to be IP themed. What's the IP? Moana. I think that's, I don't have confirmation on that, but I think that's kind of how these things have developed here. And that's why it's kind of feels out of place, I can see what they were going for, but it's just, I don't know. With this version of Epcot that we have here, it's kind of an odd fit. Maybe in the future, we'll think of it like we do the Imagination Pavilion or like World of Motion. But for right now, it's just an oddball out. I've heard it's great. I've heard it's actually really good for a walkthrough type attraction. It's just, why Epcot?
Agreed. It just doesn't fit. But hey, if it works, it works. At the end of the day, if this is what we get, and it's a great walkthrough, and it cools people down, we have some shade. At this point, it's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is important. Yeah, and it's another opportunity to get wet. Um, if someone was here, they'd make a joke, but
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking
it's
about.
I love because since again no water ice, this kind of be a de facto quick. Hopefully, won't be too long of a line. You just go, I'm really hot. Let me just play with this water and cool down just a little bit on your
Yeah.
way to the next attraction, which is very nice because again, very hot and humid in Florida. So it shocks me that we have the same amount of water rides out here that you guys do over there. It's mind blowing.
In a place that's much hotter.
Because if you're not making your way over to the land or the other side of the park, if you're going straight from the entrance to World Showcase, you're hitting nothing but sun. So if you can detour for a little bit of shade and water, it's great, especially for kids.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
100%. Speaking
Of course,
of
you can
for
wait 10 hours
kids,
to meet Moana if you want. That's cool.
yeah, 10 hours to meet Moana and 5 hours to meet Figment. So there you go. You can
Right.
spend the
That
day.
one, by the way, Figment started on September 10th for anyone listening. And
hmm
if he doesn't fall on his way to meet you, then you can definitely take a shot.
Yeah, I see this colorful backdrop here. Is that at his meet and greet location? Because right now he's just meeting at the what was the former Rainbow
It was,
Tunnel, right?
yeah, it's the one that I forget her name already. Was it Penelope? The
Yeah,
girl from
Penelope.
the internet portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Wreck-It Ralph. So, and that's why they've been having issues, is that you have this black tunnel in which Figment has to kind of traverse through, and loses his step, falls. I heard an idea of like bringing back the Rainbow Tunnel just for him.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
been great,
Yeah.
but we
And
can't spend money.
little do you know that meet and greet pays homage to Kite Tails when the kites fall down, just like him.
That's great. That's fantastic. Talked about the Epcot transformation here.
Which has been dramatically changed. Speaking of concept
Yes.
art,
Yes. Yes.
but that part, I was really looking for the festival building. That looked like a cool little 3-story, nice place to hang out. But that sucks when that was the first thing cut. But the plaza opens December 5th. I think the city of LA, with all its red tape, can build a plaza faster than that. But that's okay. It's opening, so yay.
Captain, you looking forward to this?
I am. I'm interested to see what it looks like once it's down. But yeah.
Yeah.
And anything from its current state.
He just
is a
wants
win.
those walls down.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I'll take
know,
anything
man.
at this point.
Oh, it sucks having to walk around those walls. It really, really does. Speaking of,
Going over California, it was a turn.
This is exciting.
okay, so the Floridians out there, or the people who frequent the Florida parks, they're excited for this.
At least I am. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this one, and I missed it when it left in the 15 or 16, I believe.
Yeah, I like
Um,
California.
Soaring Over the World doesn't even compare to this one. This is a much better version of the ride, in my opinion.
I like it a lot. That original score is so good. It's just
Yes.
it just flows so well from scene to scene, not just a rehash of one part of that score over and over again. The visuals still hold up. It does give you that kind of nostalgia feeling. I think this is a good move, especially as part of the 100th anniversary. I think this was. I like this. I like this a lot. All right, let's see here.
Good stuff.
Hatbox Ghost.
The Hatbox Ghost. He's coming in November. Oh, by the way, the Soarin' thing is September 22nd for everyone listening. Look,
Gotcha.
So what do you guys think about this being Disneyland frequenters?
So the Hatbox Ghost here in Disney World's appearing before the Happy Haunts appear, because they said he's an unhappy haunt, so he can appear whenever he wants. I've never been on this Haunted Mansion, but apparently he's appearing in this hallway before the other guys appear.
Yeah,
It's
so
pretty
he'll be
cool,
appearing in the
yeah.
beginning of the ride in Disney
Right.
World.
Yeah.
So there's some lore here, obviously. when Walt passed away, that really left Haunted Mansion in a bind because you had very strong personalities like Claude Coates, like Riley Crump, and Mark Davis, who really wanted to do what they wanted to do with the mansion, right? Claude Coates being a background artist and providing some of the most amazing backdrops that we've ever seen in attractions with Pirates of the Caribbean, where Mark Davis's characters could live. He's looking for something that's more atmospheric. Mark Davis is looking for something that's more humorous, more animated, featuring characters and so forth. And it's like, how do you distill this thing down that should be either scary or funny or whatever? And it's like, okay, let's just like break it in half. Claude Coates gets the first half. Mark Davis gets the second half, and that's why the delineation point is Madame Leota. And so the lore that has kind of cropped up over the years is, Madame Leota summons the haunts, and that's why you can actually see them in real form post that scene, right? Well, this kind of breaks that a little bit because you're seeing a fully fledged ghost out animatronic like the Hatbox Ghost before Madame Leota, and I think that's why people are kind of like, "Whoa, you're kind of messing with the overall story of this thing." It's interesting because, I had a look at this in person, and I was looking in this spot where our Hatbox Ghost is right after the attic scene, and like it seemed to me that there was enough room to do it there, and so to do it here is a little bit weird, and given how fast you move in the Doom buggies past this point, I don't know. I mean, I this is kind of a weird place because you just don't lay your eyes on this section for long enough to really kind of see this effect actually take place. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little iffy on this.
Yeah, and Disneyland, it looks great, and also didn't take like years to do it, so it was cool. What
Gavin?
do you think, Captain?
It's a weird placement for sure. Maybe it's the only spot they had. Maybe it's the only spot they could use due to cost. Not moving around some, whatever it might be, some extensive makeover for the attraction itself. It's probably a convenient location, and then they went ahead and updated the lore behind it, right, or explained it away in some fashion.
Yeah, the unhappy haunt.
The unhappy haunt, yeah.
Which is okay. That's a little all right.
Well, for me, I'm not too tied to it because I'm not familiar with the Hatbox Ghost as you guys are. So I'm interested to see how it fits in with this ride. But at the same time, just from the feedback I'm hearing, it sounds like it might be 50-50.
It looks like he's getting his own kind of section here. You can see the hat box right next to him. You can see the door kind of slightly ajar and this kind of fog effect going through. You can see his kind of chest cavity there illuminated. This seems like the execution is going to be done fairly well. It's just, I think, the positioning that has a lot of fans kind of like, I don't know about all of this.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of things that have fans, I don't know about this, Pirates of the Caribbean story expands with new lounge experience.
That's right. Jody, drink some alcohol. No date for this either, but
this will be interesting. I think it's going to be a restaurant. I don't know if it's going to be an actual lounge or a bar. Some people have compared it to Oga's, but I don't think it'll be that.
Looks like a restaurant from the
it looks like a little restaurant. I think it's great. If they're bringing the Barker Bird back, that's exciting in itself. That's fantastic because that's a Mark Davis original.
I think a themed restaurant's pretty nice, so I think it'll be pretty cool.
And the placement of it, I mean, we have space over there. We have the Pirates Lounge, and then right across the way you have Tortuga Tavern, which rarely is open. It's open 50-50, and you got a lot of space over there. So it'll be interesting to see where they put it, and I hope it doesn't change because, as you can see here, the artwork is fantastic. It kind of looks like the old concept art in a way.
It does.
I'm excited, to be honest.
I agree with you. Adventureland does have, at least at Magic Kingdom, does have like some dead spots there that are, like you said, are either blank entirely or are used on a seasonal basis. So to get something in there, maybe in the Tortuga Tavern space, maybe not, on kind of a permanent basis is I think, very, very good. This is kind of why Club 33 was was put into this spot, right? Because it had the room for it. I think what has people a little bit concerned is you're expanding the alcohol program at Magic Kingdom specifically.
Hmm.
I must confess, I think it is, doing this, I think is fairly well regulated. We already heard that they're expanding the alcohol program at Disneyland specifically. Doing it in this kind of lounge experience. Look, Elga's Cantina exists at Disneyland, right?
Yep.
Can the Magic Kingdom do this? I think it can. We have alcohol being served at Beast Castle already, or Beast Restaurant. My thing though is like, yeah, I would like this to have a food component to it, because my gosh, for as many sit down restaurants as the Magic Kingdom has, it doesn't really have all that much counter service or quick service. I was really shocked about that, because that's the inverse of what we have here at Disneyland.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Especially when you get over in that area, pretty much all you have is Tortuga Tavern and Pecos Bill. And you have Skipper Canteen over in Adventureland, and which recently started serving alcohol as well. But at the same time, you're right. We need some better food options in the Magic Kingdom for sure. Sit down.
I agree with you, and that's interesting. I'm glad you brought up Pecos Bill. Now, I wasn't fully aware at how massive Pecos Bill was until I actually went there and saw it. That thing is huge.
Yeah.
And I find it so interesting that they didn't announce anything for Pecos Bill. We had heard many rumors suggesting that Pecos Bill was going to get the Tiana or New Orleans treatment in order to kind of make that more cohesive with the nearby attraction. And we have heard also, too, that that's ready to go. It just wasn't announced here. Why do you think that might have been?
That's a great question. Could be it's just not ready. Approvals, that's a lot of space, like you said. There's a lot of compartmentalized spaces. There's a lot of offshoot rooms in that whole area. So maybe they're still in the process of developing it. It's just not ready.
I would think so. Also, too, whatever you put in there, it's got to be as in demand as those, tacos and that
100%.
that previous taco bar, because it fills up. I mean, it was kind of hard to find a table in there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's an enormous space, so you have to take that into consideration. And also, too, I mean, if Disney doesn't have to do something, they're opting not to right now.
That's right.
So that's a thing too, as well. Speaking of maybe doing things, not doing things, more beyond Big Thunder Mountain. As you can see, in this was I think a screenshot from D23 Expo, but we looked at the concept art featured in that hall at Destination D23, and Encanto is still there, even though we had just seen it with Zootopia. I'm sorry, with Animal Kingdom. What do you think about this? We're getting it? We're not getting it? What do you think?
Good thing, Wizard.
Yeah. I think the concept art is definitely. Oh, I think if we get more fleshed out concept art, wherever Encanto goes, if it goes another one, then it won't be there, and if it doesn't go in the other park, then it'll be there. But I don't think they even know, and that's why they use the same one and kind of dark. They just dark. I don't know. They just used the same thing and said, "Don't forget, we teach about this. Don't forget about it. Don't forget." And then the D23 will tell you, "Don't forget again." So I think they have absolutely no idea what to do with this space. And even if they do have an idea, they don't have enough money to do it. So
I agree. This feels like the shell game. Let's move this here, move this here. Where's it going? Moving Encanto out of there. Obviously, if they were to just leave a Coco themed land and that ties into a villain's land around Haunted Mansion, that's fantastic. That would work. Two lands makes up for that entire amount of space. You could fit two lands into there instead of three. I think three would kind of be crowded if you think about it. So who knows? But if Encanto leaves this concept and all you have is Coco and villains, possibly, I think that works.
I think the big thing emphasized here by Bruce Vaughan was this future expansion is going to be the largest ever for the park, and why they emphasize that, not what may be featured in here, is because the goal is to complete the circuit
That's right.
post Big Thunder into either Liberty Square or Fantasyland. It's not. They're looking at it from an operational perspective, right? And
Right.
that's why this, I think, will change, and why they're not, necessarily going into detail on what they're going to do, because they don't even know what they're going to do. They just want that circuit completed.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on there.
Well, in terms of IP, let me ask you this.
Sure.
It's all going to be IP based.
Oh,
So in
yes.
terms of IP, what works in your mind? What works?
I think Coco works. The issue is you have to. I think you have to have a transition point. I mean, I say you have to, but maybe that's not how they feel. But it would be nice to have a transition from the kind of southwestern Big Thunder to a kind of a Coco, which is kind of set in Mexico. So it's kind of it's in that rough region there, and then to go to from the fantasy of Coco into the fantasy of a villain's land, I think does work. So I do agree with you, Captain. I think if they were just to Axe and Kanto, I think I totally would be fine with that. The big thing that shouldn't be axed at all, though, is the villain's land. That is a runaway hit. It is a slam dunk.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
That's the one that should stay on the table. I know Coco is, because it's people have been wanting that for a while. But villains, come on, guys, let's do it.
Yep.
I agree. Let's do it.
This one.
There.
When I was asked about what you like, what you hate, this is definitely going to be at the top of the list here. Country Bear Jamboree to be updated with new songs and acts in 2024. So the Country Bear Jamboree, as we know it today, is going away for the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. And they got rid of Liver Lips for Romeo. That's great. You can tell where they're going with this one. And before people, I'm don't worry, I'm going to throw this to the panel here, but just know, and I do believe this, there was no situation in which the Country Bear Jamboree could continue.
100%.
So it's like full replacement or changes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm actually, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I'm confusedly okay with this. In terms of, let's remember, let's think back to what Tom Corliss saved, or his efforts, in that old concept art of Toy Story going into Country Bear Jamboree, that effort to save the Country Bears. Thinking back to that time, the possibility of losing the Country Bears versus a retheme, I'm fine with a retheme. Let's face it, the songs a little outdated. People don't jive with them these days. Liver Lips is a slur. Let's face it, it's just not acceptable in today's age. Honestly, I remember the Country Bears as a kid, and I don't know if you guys remember this. In Disneyland, I think they had the iteration of the Holiday Showdown or the Holiday Hoedown or the Vacation Hoedown, right? And Liver Lips at that time, I believe, was an Elvis impersonator.
He was.
And he had that coif on top of his head. And if you think back to the backstory of Liver Lips, I think he was the Tampa or the Miami serenader. Like, that was his stick. Like, he sung. So if we're tying this back into the origins, and it's going to be Disney songs, and we're not losing it, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. Because those animatronics are I guess older, so they're gonna get the new hydraulic ones. But yeah, instead of gutting it, hey, if you can save an attraction, that's pretty nice. So nice.
Let me ask you guys this: did you guys see the Instagram post from, I think his name is Ethan Reed, the former Imagineer?
I did see that.
So that's
let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Ethan Reed.
Yeah,
He
Ethan Reed.
That
Well, go ahead.
Ethan
Go ahead.
Reed,
Yeah.
keep in mind, fun fact, if you watched last week's episode and we had Mr. Theme Park ERT on, Ethan Reed was at Imagineer that he said he was very close friends with. So
Yeah, Ethan Reed was a great Imagineer. He actually did, I think it was 2002 or 4. He actually, oh, here it is. Right. Oh, no, this is not the post. But, oh, I didn't see this article. What's this?
This is detailing the post
Oh,
from Instagram
perfect.
here. He says this: Marty Sklar always said, "A good idea never goes away." Today, Walt Disney Imagineering announced that they are implementing an update to Country Bear Jamboree that I first pitched back in 2004, 19 years ago.
Yes.
Many talented
Yes.
Imagineers worked on the concept over the years, from 2018 to 2020. I was the conceptual creative director, coming up with the new versions of this classic Mark Davis attraction. We all know what happened in 2020, and unfortunately, that update was put on hold, which we did hear. Yeah, that was accurate.
Yes.
Now it's happening, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. Even though many of the Imagineers who touched this project are not attached to it anymore, I know that some of our creativity will live on in the DNA of this reimagining of this classic Walt Disney World attraction.
Yeah, so when I read that, I mean, previous to me reading his Instagram post on Instagram, I was a little down about Country Bears, right? Because I'm such a fan of its current state. Um, but reading that made me think, okay, we're going back to 2004 here with these concepts. It probably will be great. And if I recall correctly, wasn't he tapped to do Tokyo as well, and it never happened to retheme?
Yeah, that's interesting. I know Ethan Reed has bounced around in some places, and there are probably people that know a little bit more about him and his work more than I do. But I know for a fact he kind of was sprinkled throughout the company at various times, for
Yeah, yeah.
in that kind of time period. So you might be correct here.
Well, just knowing that it's not current imaginary, came up with a concept. I
hey,
think
it
it's
should be
got
pretty
great
good.
potential. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm hoping for good things. There was a reason why I went through this twice when I was there, because I knew
Yeah,
it was coming. And it was like, I am going to get my Country Bear Jamboree fill here. But another thing that was revealed was the back of a ride vehicle
Ooh.
for the King Thanos Marvel e-ticket attraction. Let me see. Do they have it? Yeah, here we go. We
There
can
it
see that
is.
right here. This is kind of the first time that we've kind of laid or hooked our peepers on it, decently. And they're showing the back probably because it's probably where you might enter from. I don't know. But we also got a little bit more detail after the show, which was from a post linked below from Imagineer Brent Strong. He says this, quote, "We can't wait to share more about the physical worlds for this epic attraction and are excited to bring them to life with a blend of large-scale built environments and immersive media." Now, what makes this so profound is many people, when looking at the original concept art, thought that it was going to be entirely screen-based. Some people even said that it might not be a ride at all, which was interesting. But and when you see the back of that kind of ride vehicle there, it's like, okay, well, if this is going to be screen based, I mean, what are we getting, like Back to the Future or The Simpsons? Like what are we getting? To get confirmation from an Imagineer that this is going to feature physical environments, I think is a kind of a big deal. Maybe should be getting more press than it's actually getting. What do you guys think about this one right here? Very exciting stuff.
It is very exciting, and it looks just like a Transformers ride vehicle. So it should be a pretty nice dark ride, in my opinion. With that motion-based type of thing, probably 2 stories, and yeah, they can really utilize that parking lot very well if they get creative like Disneyland does. As long as they no date again, so as long as they get started in a reasonable amount of time next year, then that would be fantastic, and I can be riding it by 2026.
Well, on the timelines we're thinking about, Ethan, I can't wait to ride this with my grandkids when it opens. Go ahead, Cap John D. What do you got?
I don't know too much about this attraction or Adventures Campus, but I just knowing that there's a physical
Oh, it's okay, Captain. The
base
attraction
to it.
concept was changed 5 times, so we don't know much about
Yes,
it.
it has.
This latest iteration sounds promising. I'll say that, and it sounds exciting. So we'll see.
I still.
And by the way, this is the problem with these phase 2 things, right? Because well, Avengers they can't predict anything, so Avengers this would open a lot sooner, but the pandemic happened, so then delay it to phase 2 type of thing,
Change
So if
of
you just open it all at once, then you don't have to worry about phase 2. Always represents a you know what could happen,
Right.
Even if they just built it and didn't open it on time, like Rise of the Resistance, at least it would have got whatever whatever it is. Even still be waiting, It's just something's built, but if you didn't even break ground, and these phase 2s, Disney got to stop with those.
Thankfully, this land was so underbuilt, and the property is so, in demand. I know it's kind of, shed a little bit of that in recent years, but the demand for theme park product based on Marvel is still tremendously high. That even with a phase 2 kind of open promise that might not be actually delivered, as we in the theme park game have known for so long, that yes, it is eventually coming out, which is awesome. It's just, man, the first iteration looked and sounded so cool. To have lost that because of kind of these the circumstances that have plagued this land and so forth. It really is kind of heartbreaking, but to know that the spiritual successor to that attraction will actually feature physical sets is reassuring. Go ahead, John.
It's great that it's actually a ride vehicle, and you're not going to be on a conveyor, standing on a conveyor.
Yeah, I do agree with that. We'll just have to wait and see when this actually opens, or breaks ground. I'm sure these things will get reiterated again, but at least being in September of 2023, it still looks promising. I want to switch gears here a little bit, and how do we want to do this? I wanted to kind of go over this point here. We'll go with the bad, then we'll end with the good. How about that, Wizard? So Mike's Chat included an article for their Monday update, and they go over a lot of the things that we just went over right now. But you see the opening of Tiana's Palace right there, looks good. Although there have been some issues.
Lights
and that's kind of the theme I want to get to right now, because there
monorail beams. Yeah, let's show those monorail.
I'm getting there.
And Toontown, that's right. Toontown is behind walls again. That section.
Yep, and things have already broken and things aren't working right. I wanted to kind of highlight the disparity between the spending of the domestic parks versus the international parks. And it goes down to even like the maintenance and even the quality of craftsmanship. I mean, here's a good example. As I kind of scroll through this real fast, you can see that this was freshly installed concrete. It's concrete, and it's already beginning to crack. Yep. And it's one of those things where it's like, why is the craftsmanship and the quality there being reduced to the amount it is? The monorail just came back from a refurbishment. And these are how the beams actually look in an operating theme park that is one of the highest attended in the world. Why is this going on here? And it's not just this, it's kind of stuff like this, right? Where we get a brand new land and the finish work. I mean, look at that gap. I mean, it's bent sheet metal with missing self tappers or screws, and they don't even line up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
When you look at the announcements from D23, Destination D23, or the lack thereof, I just think, okay, even if we get the large scale thing, what's the quality level going to be going to be like? And even with these smaller scale things, I think the same thing. When you look at stuff like this, when you look at stuff like this, and you look at stuff like this,
Oof.
it's painfully frustrating. Panel, what do you got?
Yeah, it's yeah, those budgets. I don't know. Those budgets must be real tight. I mean, Maisha described in the article as the monorail felt like it was going over a pothole, as if in the
Wow.
car there. I mean, and for those of you that can't see it, the monorail beam looks very crusty and
Yeah.
looks like when the tree grows on the sidewalk and it gets all weird and out of shape. Yeah, I don't know what they did during the month and a half. I know part of it was to repaint Soren, but they could have got those monorail beams. I mean, look at that.
That's embarrassing. I'm
bad.
sorry. Let me ask you guys this. I don't know too much about Disneyland.
But I know
In terms of maintenance.
if you take a zoomed in picture, then that makes it look worse than it is.
Yeah,
According to
you're right. Yeah.
True.
according-
Go
yeah,
ahead,
according-
Cap.
How are these inspected out there? Or
So there is, I believe it is inspected by OSHA. These kind of things.
Okay.
So there is some oversight that isn't just Disney, unlike
Okay.
The former Rita Creek. Look, I mean, is it safe? Yeah. I don't doubt
Sure,
it's
sure.
I don't doubt it's safe, but I mean, it's so bad that this kind of pothole type feeling that even Dusty here mentions in the article that guest in the cabin commented that it didn't sound good. It's starting to kind of detract from this park experience.
It could be safe, but that would scare me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get stuff like this, right? Where it's like, okay, well, we're going to replace these ornate custom pieces of, Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear with this kind of off-the-shelf artwork that when people scan it with their phones, they go, oh, I can actually buy that. And it's all sold at the same store. And it's, $130. And it's like, really, what?
Yeah.
It's just the disparity and effort here is shocking.
Yeah, I think it comes down to compartmentalization, budgets, Imagineering. Who knows how Imagineering plays into this anymore in terms of their oversight on budgets, their actual control over these things. Who knows how it's structured these days? But you can tell that a low-level, mid-level manager is making these decisions based on cost, and it's really startling knowing that this is the park that Walt built.
What makes it more painfully frustrating is we are finally getting our first images coming out of this lane that you're seeing here on the screen. For the viewers who can't see this, I'm playing the promo video for Arendelle opening at Hong Kong Disneyland, and you can see these amazing,
It looks amazing,
beautiful environment. For a park that is, I mean, I think it's only supposed to profit like once in its entire lifetime.
Yep.
It's just absolutely incredible work. And you just go, what happened? Like, obviously these guys can do it, and they're just not.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe even for Disneyland's case, I mean, maybe they know the magic key holders will come no matter what, so they can do things on a cheap because they'll just and maybe even for Epcot, they see the lines for Figment, and so they're like, we don't need to update that thing. Look at them, look at that long line. These people will come no matter what. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you have to wonder, and I don't know too much about this. You could probably educate me on this in terms of the ownership stake, right? So I know in China, we're talking 149 split. I think, and obviously Tokyo's 100%. But how does that play into this, right?
Yeah. So
a lot, definitely a lot.
Well, Wizard, you were kind enough to send over an article from Attractions Magazine, which talked about how Universal's Beijing Park was being added to substantially. It's now a 1.8 square kilometer park, and it's now they're going to be adding 2.2 square kilometers to that park. Just a huge, massive expansion, and a lot of that is being undertaken by the Chinese government directly. Why? Because they want to invest in their tourism industry, right, in order to diversify their economy. But I think you're right, Gab. For these parks internationally, Disney's not footing the entire bill, right?
Exactly.
And just like with Test Track, Disney's not footing the entire bill.
Exactly. So that's why these projects get the money that they do, or at least that's a big contributing factor. But then it's and I think I agree with your previous point, right? The executive kind of management structure definitely plays a part in this, and also too, it's like, okay, well, when you have something like this, when you have a park as legacy as they are in the States, right? Walt Disney World's been around for 50 years. Disneyland now is coming up on 70 years. The amount of investment to really get people out there and keep spending money goes up and up and up. Like the stakes get higher and higher and higher,
Yes.
versus you can spend less and maybe get more potentially out of them with some of these international investments. So,
And also, I'll keep going.
oh, go ahead.
And saying also, the culture, I feel like it's a minor part, but the culture, I feel like the Japanese and the Chinese, even if whether it's the people or the government, I think they expect a high quality product. They don't take the crap, like Oriental Land Company, they won't approve something that's crap, they want the highest of the highest quality, or it's not coming, type of thing.
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
to that point, Wizard, we're talking about Walt Disney World. The international guest count we get there. I mean, budget should not be cut at Walt Disney World. It's the most
Exactly.
visited park in the world. So it's a little disturbing to think about. You just made me think of that point, and culture plays a big
And
part.
you're right. Some of those people that are coming, eventually, they'll definitely probably have a Disney park closer to them that's of higher quality. So they might just,
Exactly.
why am I taking this flight? I can just go to Disneyland Paris, or I can go to Hong Kong Disney, or I can go to Tokyo Disney Sea. Like, why am I flying over here? And one next to me is much better than this piece of crap.
It is an interesting point, Wizard. For Hong Kong specifically, which, by the way, integrating it with the natural hills there—that was a genius move.
I mean,
Oh.
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Genius
and
move.
and also the coaster, how they made that last bank turn go right against the water. Ooh.
Good stuff, right? But I think you're right, though. I think the culture does play into it somewhat. When we're talking about Hong Kong Disneyland, when Hong Kong Disneyland opened, people felt that it was kind of an inferior version of the original Disneyland, and it was small, it was underbuilt, and the Chinese really respond to scale. Like that's why Shanghai is built as big as it is, right? To give this illusion that now you might be paying a higher price point, but look what you're getting for that price. Whereas Hong Kong is still kind of looked at not so fondly by its local populace because of those reasons. The Japanese, I think, the same way. It's like, the Oriental Land Company executives are very, very specific. It's got to blow us away or else we're not going to do it. So I think culture does kind of play with it as well. And look, the company's current financial status, I mean, it's not in the greatest shape possible. This is why these announcements at D23 were maybe as light as they were. I think that the biggest thing that they absolutely confirmed was a joint venture between them and Chevrolet. So I think it's definitely impacting these things. But
And
speaking,
one thing that is also not fully from the bill is their new residential development, Cotino. They're being built in Palm Springs. Its first phase revealed today, and instead of a interesting name has been they named their parks here. Instead of something like Big Thunder Ranch to pay homage to there, they named their park here, one of them, the Laughing Place Ranch. So I guess someone like Splash Mountain over there. Better watch out; they may get fired. Who knows?
I just hope the developers have the cojones to build a small Splash Mountain in a park setting.
Oh yeah, like
Or Cotino.
have the have the slide be coming out of the mountain. That'd
It's
be hilarious.
It's really, really fascinating because they were in such a rush to get rid of these pieces in a little store like the Briar Patch that they just went off the shelf with them and embarrassed themselves
And
completely.
and
By the way,
musical
there's
numbers and all those like
Yeah.
gone.
I don't care how much you're spending on any of this stuff. None of this stuff is acceptable. Just to make that point clear. But nope. Don't even worry about that because we're gonna do the Laughing Place branch, and it's absolutely bizarre. It's like, okay, do you want to remove this from the annals of history, or do you want to lay a stake in it and keep it around forever? I have no idea. It's all over the place now.
I think it's a troll, to be honest with you. I think it's a giant troll.
It's a troll.
Kudos to the concept art troll. That's perfect.
Well, I think laughingplace.com just got a sense of relief here that, oh God, thankfully, no more controversy anymore.
That's right.
I'm based off the Laughing Place ranch now, which is completely company sanctioned. I think it does speak to Captain John Dee. I think before the show, you said this, so I'll give you credit, but I feel the same way. I think it speaks to the level of how fractured it might actually be in the halls of WDI when you have such very, very differing philosophies regarding something like the Laughing Place or Song of the South.
I agree. There was a reason this was put in there, like originally in the concept art, right? So it's being thought of in some fashion, right? On that level.
I mean,
Sure.
and this is not like before the right clothes. This is after both of them closed, and it's just brand new from today. So that is pretty funny.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't know too much about the concept art. How far does this concept art date back? Do we know?
So
this specific one?
This specific concept art was just released today.
This is today. This one.
Some of the older stuff, though, it might be featured here, might
like
not
that
be.
sign, that one.
I'm just wondering if they created it a long time ago and just releasing it now, and no oversight on it.
But even so, they could change the whatever. But I don't know. But even so, I feel like when Cotina was announced, Splash Mountain already had a closure date, or like the idea was there.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Closing.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard is it to change the name with all this? I mean, I could change the name if I wanted to right now. You see it all the time with the memes. I feel like it was, definitely recent.
The whole project itself was announced on February 16, 2022. You would have thought that even if maybe these things had been developed for quite some time, that when 2020 happened, it's like, we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna go everything with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, that's what they're doing now. Any reference to Song of the South or Splash Mountain is being slowly removed from all the parks worldwide, no matter where they are, except for Tokyo, which is very interesting. But you would have thought that this would have received that treatment as well. But it hasn't, and we're now in 2023. I think this is very interesting. I don't know.
I think we're going to see a correction on this concept art very quickly.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. What do you think? You think
Interesting.
it'll stick out there? You think this will go through in that fashion? No way.
Well, I didn't hear Zippity ever while at Walt Disney World. However, I did hear The Laughing Place. And some of those other tunes that have been associated with Splash Mountain in various areas. So maybe it is one of those things where it's like, well, we can't have the characters of the Brer characters. We can't have Zippity specifically the song, but maybe we can reference it in other ways. I don't know. I haven't seen the chart to figure this out yet. But
the only reason I think it'll go away is because they've slowly been phasing out all variations of songs, you name it. I've heard less and less at Walt Disney World in terms of the songs from Song of the South and the actual ride, but I don't see them holding over anything that references Song of the South or Splash Mountain. in my opinion. I think it goes away.
Hmm.
It's too much of a hot ticket item.
It is. It is. Or maybe the people buying into this neighborhood.
True.
Okay.
You know, it's funny.
Go ahead.
It's funny because when I showed my girlfriend this concept art and told her that's the exact same thing she said. She goes, "Oh, the
Really?
people buying into it, they probably really like that stuff."
I mean, I don't know why I thought that, but you do have to wonder. It's like
It is part of the 55 and older community. So
it is something kind of interesting. I'm glad that the Miss
I
Wizard
mean, if
there
you want
thought
to,
the same thing.
if you want to go really, conspiracy, you're deep into it, right? You can think, yeah, maybe Disney's trying to win that audience back and buying into one of these homes because there's never a 55 older
Yeah.
community by putting in a reference in there. Saying, hey, here you go. We're not totally against this. Here you go.
Because
That'll be hilarious.
don't get it twisted, guys. The guy's buying into this. I mean, we're talking Golden Oak money here, probably. I mean, it's going to be
Absolutely.
right.
Uh-huh.
And those people tend not to be, maybe as sensitive to these things as some others. If I can put that, the best way possible. So
And
I
they
don't
also
know. Maybe
they like older ideas. They're probably more open to these things.
well, they emphasize over 55. The long table.
Yeah,
park
that's the
residences.
whole. Yeah, and that's where the ranch is, and that is it? Yeah, I think it is.
So
In the
Oh,
best case scenario, laughing place is not a term or a concept that gets thrown out the window. And maybe that will be the holdover, right? Maybe that's the acceptable holdover that the company sees. Okay, we'll leave that as an homage to the ride, the attraction. But
right.
my reality, my gut tells me that it's an oversight, and it'll be quickly corrected.
I think I'm going to go with your first
which
estimation
which
there.
could be true because they messed up those Disney 100 signs. So who knows?
Yes.
Anything could happen.
That's true. That's true.
They
I'll
fixed those.
I'll go with the less pessimistic, less cynical view, which is honest. I mean, I say cynical, but it's probably the correct one, to be honest. Yeah, Laughing Place is officially sanctioned by the company, so that's what
I love that. That's best case, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's the same because it's even on the map. So I don't know. I think if they really miss. I guess they could miss it twice, but I don't know. We'll see. But wow, look at that. That was a bonkers of an episode. Oh, Disney. And I don't think it was Big Mouse bad. I think it was Big Mouse truth. Big Mouse good. It was Big Mouse cool.
Big Mouse
But,
realistic.
big
Big Mouse realistic. Captain John Dee, thank you for joining. Where
Thank
can
you
the
guys.
people
I appreciate
find
it.
you and your pirate ship?
You find me on X at the moment. Thank you.
There it is, coming into port here. That's
Congratulations to
That's
both
right.
of you on your new ventures. I love it. I love this new theme park universe. I love
Oh,
seeing Dre
thank
on
you.
Park Place. It's awesome.
awesome, man. I really do appreciate that.
And
go ahead.
where can we find the Vash guy?
Well, like Captain John Dee says, on Theme Park Universe right here. So you definitely got to hit subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on any of your podcast platforms. Definitely subscribe to this guy. I think this will be a nice little home for the long form stuff, covering theme parks all over the nation. So definitely keep an eye on this channel. And if you want maybe more regular bite-sized, you can follow me at That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
And be sure to like the video, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Check out our Twitter X page. Check out our Patreon. Cool stuff over there. Link down below. As always, have an epic day.